What's up, guys? Peter from Panda here. Hey, I just bought myself this Chronos Smartwatch disc. It's a smart disc, D-I-S-C, and you put it on your watch, and it's supposed to give you notifications and some smartwatch-like features and allow you to use your existing watch. Now, as I unbox this, I'm not going to really walk you through the unboxing, but I want to show it to you because I just got it. I want to unbox it, show you what you can expect when you get it, but I also want to rip on the company a bit. And if you're a pre-orderer of this like I was, go ahead and like this video right now because this isn't going to be very friendly to the company. I am pretty excited about the product, but here's my issue, is that in the stock picking, there's a phrase sometimes that you'll hear, like the company, hate the stock. And what that refers to is, say, something like Under Armour. I really love Under Armour's products. I love the company. I like kind of what they stand for. But you can easily hate the stock because in a lot of ways, it may be overpriced. It may be ripe for a pullback. It may crash. It may be way overvalued. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but that's kind of what it refers to. In the Chronos world, it's for me, I am intrigued and optimistic about the product, but I'm kind of pissed off about the company. And it has more to do with how they handle the pre-orders than anything. And as I open this sucker up, and here's how it comes, I want to tell you exactly why I am. I will do a longer review. I'm going to open this up, obviously get it paired to my phone, and then I am going to test it out for a while and see how it goes. I'm actually not even sure how to open this up. Looks like I've got to break that there. But first of all, if you were like me and pre-ordered this sucker, you paid $100. God knows when you pre-ordered it, and there were just delays among delay. And that in and of itself isn't really that surprising because a lot of new products are very much delayed. Some wipes to help you apply this to your watch. But what was the big deal, charging cradle here, is that they communicated almost nothing until actually after they missed shipping deadlines. So in the most recent case, and what pushed me over the edge is not only did that happen 3, 4, 5 times maybe, depending on when you got into the pre-order. For me, it happened absolutely a number of times. So here's the disc. There's a little micro suction material. Kind of feels like those dash pads. You know what I'm talking about, or those lint rollers that are like rubber, and then you run them underwater and they get sticky again. And so here's the disc, and we'll do a little dimension measurement. But the issue is, not only did they delay and not inform anyone until after they missed shipping deadlines, which ticks me off and ticked a lot of people off, but what really killed me is that not only did they tell me that this thing was going to come to everyone in North America by the end of October, but October came and went, and then in November, there was no word about a new update to it. And then I go on Macy's.com, and they have this sucker in stock, ready to ship. In stock, ready to ship. So I was incredulous, to say the least. So I went ahead and I placed an order with Macy's, and guess what? It came. So what that tells me is Macy's may have been pre-ordered these two for their customers or whatever. But what they did is, as opposed to getting these to the people who paid and were patiently waiting, they shipped them out to a company. And so you could have been any Joe on the street and discovered this thing in November 1st and actually had this in your hands like I've got it before any of the guys with the pre-orders got theirs. And that kind of ticks me off, because if you're going to do that, then just develop the product, wait till it's available, and then charge me for it. Because if you're going to provide them to Macy's, and maybe Macy's prepaid, maybe they kicked them $50 a disc for 10,000 discs. I don't know. But then you could have saved me a lot of time and effort, because there were $99 from Macy's. The pre-order price that I paid, which was supposed to be a discount over the retail price, was $99. So basically, I loaned them $99, prepaid $99 for a product that when it hit the market was $99. So there was absolutely no advantage to me to pre-order it. I should have just waited till it rolled out. So lesson learned. When you support something like on a Kickstarter, Indiegogo, or pre-order a product like this, that's that's the nature of this thing. That things get delayed. There's a company called Desert Tech that has a product coming out that has been delayed probably a year and a half. I've been patiently waiting, but I'll tell you what the difference is. Desert Tech has been absolutely phenomenal about communicating production issues, what they are, what they're doing, issues with metallurgy, and how how that affects the timeline and what needs to go back and get durability tested, et cetera, et cetera. And so every time they've done a delay, I've been okay with it. I've been okay, and they've actually delayed their product until next year, and I'm still okay with it. It sucks, but I'm okay with it, and I like knowing what the reasons are so that I can expect a quality product when it is available. This product and the dudes at Chronos, who I'm sure are good guys, just bumbled this one badly. And in fact, they went radio silent for a long time and weren't even answering people's questions about what delays were. Wrong strategy, man. Wrong strategy. As someone in business myself, that's not how I would have handled it. All right, so there's my rant. If you were a pre-orderer and you had a similar thing, I would love to hear your comments. So go ahead and comment below and like this video. Don't dislike me because you're pissed at Chronos, because I am absolutely sharing that sentiment with you. So like it, please, and so let people take a look at it. So, all right, I have my calipers out here. I want to show you what to expect. Obviously, you've got the disc and the charger. And the key is, what does this disc fit in terms of the different types of watches that you might want to wear? So the diameter of the disc is important, and I'm going to show you that the diameter of the disc at its widest point is 33 millimeters. So that should be about big enough to fit everything, including most women's watches, right? Okay. From a thickness perspective, and as you know, should expect this to kind of make the case of your watch hover above your wrist just a little bit, is 4 1/3 millimeters. So you're going to have the case of the watch not touching your wrist by about 4.3 millimeters. And that's okay. You know, it's kind of the nature of trying to add smartwatch functionality. So we'll put it on a watch and try it out here and take a look at it. There is, let's see if we can focus in here. Here's the polycarbonate ring, I believe. It's kind of dark because there's no light being emitted, but behind there are some LEDs that will flash so that you get light emitted around the case. Everything else looks like kind of polished stainless, is my guess. It is pretty light. It's not super heavy. And from an ounces standpoint, it's only a 0.3 of an ounce, which is nice. That's very light, so you shouldn't really notice it. Let's go ahead and apply it to a watch and see how it works. All right, guys, so I have 3 watches here that I wear a lot. 3 watches that I would absolutely wear with the Chronos. It's going to be, this micro suction material on the back makes it so it's reusable, that you can move it from watch to watch. It's going to snap in here to charge into this little thing in the evening. Doesn't come with any type of plug adapter, so you're just going to have to use your iPhone charging block or something like that, or into your computer. Now, this little disc, as I said, is pretty small. So 33 millimeters, I don't think it's going to be a problem. This is the Shinola Canfield. I wear this watch a lot, really like it. This is one of the smallest watches that I will use as a daily wear. 43 millimeter case. You may actually wear smaller, but for me, this is the smallest one I will wear. And what's interesting about the Shinola is that it has this really kind of curved, like bowl-like bottom, and so there isn't a lot of surface area here. So let's go ahead and just put it on there and see how that does. And so a couple issues right off the bat is, one, because of this bowl shape, you can see that the disc kind of violates the design language here. It's not hidden very well because you kind of have a nice line of sight underneath, so you can actually see the disc. If I go ahead and throw it on my wrist here, and understand, then you're probably going to need to use another slot out. So what I mentioned in my review of this Shinola is that it's already kind of a little bit of a short band for me because of my 7.5 inch wrist, and so now I'm going to actually use the next notch out. It doesn't look bad, and especially when I've got my watch facing me, or at a glance, it wouldn't be super obvious, but I can tell it sits up above my wrist, and it might be a little hard to see there, but it does look a little bit funny, particularly on the smaller size where the bottom kind of cants in, pretty visible. Here's another practical problem with it I see right off the bat, is that because of the backing here, and they have like these kind of fake rivets or maybe real type of rivets, there's a couple types of materials. this is not like a very smooth surface. I can feel where the shinola part and all this printed part is raised, and the black part is recessed. There isn't a really big flat surface for this to grip to, and in fact, there isn't really much of a surface. It's gonna be held up by these little like rivets that hover above the face, and then all these silver parts are raised. So, like I said, as I put this on here, and even if I press it down and mash it down, it doesn't want to stay on there very well, okay? So keep that in mind, especially on probably any shinola, because all the backs are really the same. This is not sticking on there very well, even though the microsuction stuff is pretty sticky. You can see it right there, where I'm pressing it in, and you can see where the parts of the backing are touching this microsuction stuff. Not really ideal. Particularly with shinolas. And in fact, I'm sure you could add some of your own double-sided sticky material if you want it. Once it's on your wrist, you're going to have the watch and the wrist kind of pressing against each other, kind of bracing it in place a little bit. But like I said, I pressed it on there as well as I can, and I guess I can't flick it off, but I can just kind of lift it off like that. All right, let's go on to the next largest one here, my Bell & Ross. This is a 44 millimeter watch, but what this one is, and I love this watch, love it, wear it a lot. The difference here is that this backing is pretty flat, even though it has some laser etching, and you can feel a little bit of texture where the print is. Most of this is super flat, and at 44 millimeters, it doesn't have quite as much of a bowl shape on the bottom. So if I press this on here, it sticks better. You might have actually heard it there as I was kind of peeling it off. Okay, it's not that sticky, and I guess I'll have to look at the things about how to make it stickier, and that's what these wipes are for. You want to clean it and dry it, but even like, as I mentioned, those like dashboard mats that you put on your dashboard and throw your cell phone on to keep it from sliding around, this doesn't even seem as sticky as that, to be honest. And now that I've been touching it, which is probably not really fair, it's even less sticky. In fact, it feels kind of dry. Like if this were one of those dashboard mat rubber, you wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to play like air hockey with the thing on a tablecloth, right? So I'm not real thrilled with the stickiness, and it doesn't really tell me here how to rejuvenate my stickiness. So, all right. Lastly, my largest one, 47 millimeter. This is my unique P47 watch. Again, I really like this watch. It's really big. It's kind of rugged and casual. Again, laser etching on the backside or sandblasting or something. That's especially where this gray area is here. It's rough and recessed a little bit. But this is probably the type of watch that this thing is going to disappear the best on, because it's wider. You're hiding it underneath the watch a little bit more. When I put it on here, because it's a bigger watch, it's going to be much harder to see that disc. I can tell you it's much harder to see it. It's kind of in the shadow, and even the size of the watch kind of disappears there. So with this kind of watch, I think you're going to have kind of a less obvious experience with the Chronos discs. The issue with it, the trade-off might be, is that it might be hard to see those lights. So once we get into the really detailed review, after I get some days on it and use it, I can start telling you what I like and dislike about it. But here it's where, on a 47 millimeter watch, even over the 44 millimeter, pretty big difference in being able to kind of disguise it under the watch of your choice. Now, what I really do like about it when I'm, and you can actually see the P47 pressed into the material there. Again, I don't really think it's meant to try to make it permanent, and part of the point is that so you can move these from watch to watch, et cetera, et cetera. And what I really do like about the idea of the Chronos, and why I said I was optimistic about it, is that for me, smartwatches, and I used to have an Apple Watch, and I love the functionality. I wish I actually could have all the functionality on one of these watches, right on the face, read notifications, et cetera, because that was really the important thing. when I got a really important call from someone I was expecting. The other thing is when my app would warn me that my parking meter was about to expire. That was huge, and I loved having those on your watch because you could screen your notifications and really get the most important ones. On your phone, you're going to get almost all your notifications. Stock market ended up 50 points, or breaking news: Hillary Clinton deleted all her emails, or whatever it might be. But you don't necessarily need those real time on your wrist. So you could kind of scrub them and really only put the most important things. So I like being able to be notified on the wrist because you don't have to pull it out of your pocket and you can get it right away. This Chronos seems to be able to deliver that without making me choose to go to a watch style that I wouldn't normally wear, right? Forcing me into a design language, especially from a company that might not have watch design expertise. So I get to use my original watch. I love the idea of this. The problem is, if it's just vibration and just lights, it doesn't give you infinite flexibility. There are a lot of watches and smarter watches that keep the watch design language and use the hands to move and say you've got a text coming in, or you've got a notification from this app, or like the Fossil smartwatches. I almost want to say that if this doesn't deliver the goods, you're probably better off with going with a watch that's just showing you on the dial what's coming in, because that's really all you need. Ideally, what I would love is more detailed information on the band. So people to develop a smartwatch band with a little screen or something like that, I can keep the case design and even the band design, but have something a little more subtle on the watch band with a little more information. Chronos Smart Disc, I'm going to use it. Hopefully we'll have good things to say about it. Until then, hopefully you picked up, and if you're a pre-order, you may be sharing and sympathizing with me on my misery of pre-ordering this, but we'll give it a fair shot here, because if it works really well, I think it could be a really obvious and useful thing to add to your own personal collection of watches. Peter Von Panda with my Chronos Smart Disc. Out.